Anywho, moving forward. So that Monday, the doctor called me back, and she told me that okay, the DNC place near my home, they didn't want to do it because my history with blood pressure. So they were skeptical about doing it. But they found a place in the city that was like downtown, and it was an automatic 2-day stay. And I was like, no, I'm not going to the city, and I'm definitely not staying no place for 2 days automatically. No, it's not happening. So I was like, what's my other option again? And that was to be induced. So I had to go to being induced. So she told me to come into the hospital at 12. And I did. I went and did what I needed to do, got my kids settled, and I headed to the hospital. My husband was going to meet me there because he was taking some of the kids to their appointment. So I got there and checked in at 12, and at 2:06, I was given my first round of Cyotec. I believe it's Cyotec. And that's the pill to begin, labor, to start you, to induce your labor. So that happened. And so they was going to come every 4 hours. So every 4 hours they came in and gave me another 2 pills. And each time the contractions got stronger and stronger. Monday night, leading into Monday night, Monday morning, the contractions got unbearable. And they were full blown now. And I requested an epidural. And when I requested epidural, it was crazy because the nurse came to me and she was like, oh my gosh, she was like, I'm so sorry to tell you this, but you have 4 people in front of you that need epidurals, and then they'll be to you as soon as they can. And I was like, oh my God, so that means that I'm gonna be sitting here for hours waiting for an epidural? And the pain was excruciating. It was really bad. I was like, yeah, I don't have anything. So she gave me this other medicine that put me to sleep. I don't know what it was, but as soon as I took it, put it in my IV, it put me to sleep. So that was that. And then I don't know how long I was out, but the next thing I know, they woke me up in the guys was there to give me my epidural. The anesthesia guys was there to give me my epidural. And so I got that, and it was immediate relief. I thank God for epidural. I don't know who created it or who came up with it, but you guys are the best. Yeah, so finally got that, and then I went back to sleep. Was able to get some more sleep. And then when I woke up Tuesday morning, I woke up to the urge to push or the urge to use the bathroom. And I called the nurse and let her know. And then I sat up a little bit. And as soon as I sat up a little bit, and there was everything. The baby came out. Just there. I couldn't really see at first. I had to kind of sit up a little bit more, but my doctor was like, no, calm down. It's just, because we got to get the placenta out. The placenta didn't come out. So they tried for a little bit to get the placenta out, but it wasn't coming. It wasn't budging. And in fact, it was still pretty much intact. So they wound up sending me for a D&C. I had to get a D&C to take out the remains of what was left. And when I got back to my room, it was like, okay, what just happened? Did this just happen? Did I just give birth to my baby. So it's like, oh, so such a blur. And then the nurse came in. Well, they took me to recovery. I had to go to recovery first, and I sat in there for a while. The doctor did tell me that my pressure had dropped because they was giving me medicine to kind of keep my pressure down. My body was going through a lot of trauma, so my pressure was kind of rising. So he was giving me multiple medications to keep my blood pressure down. And I guess one of the medications was a little bit too strong, so when they put me under, it kind of really made my blood pressure drop. So that was a little bit of a scare for them as well. But I thank God that he brought me through that. And so when I went back to my room, and when I got back to my room, the nurse brought the baby in. And I didn't want to see the baby at first. I didn't want to see it, didn't want to hold it. This is why I didn't want to go through the whole induction process, because I didn't want to see what I no longer had. Like, I didn't want to see what was taken away from me. So she was like, okay, so I'm just going to leave the baby over here. And she left it in the corner of the room. And it was just me and my husband in there, and I was just sad, really sad. But I thank God for the strength, and that's why I chose to do the video today, because today I went to church. It's Sunday, I went to church, and I really felt renewed and restored and loved and just ready to move on with life and kind of push for it. But yeah, so the baby was sitting over there, and I knew my husband didn't want to see it. He wasn't trying to, so I didn't bother. So as time went by, I finally said, let me just go. The nurse was like, you want to see? Come on, you should look at the baby. So I said, okay. And so she brought the baby to me, and it was in this little tiny pouch. I mean, let me show you the little pouch. Matter of fact, this is the box that I left the hospital with. It's a little memory box that has all this stuff in here, all his memories. This is his little hat that he had on his head. Smell a little funny because I have some blood on there. This was a little blanket that was sitting on top of him. See how small that is? It's a little blanket. And this is the little pouch that he was in. Little pouch like this, small like that. So yeah, so he was sitting in one of the regular baby bassinets in the hospital, in the clear things, like this. My baby was in the pouch like this. And I looked at him, and he was so perfect. Little eyes, little nose, 10 fingers, 10 toes. His little ears was forming. And he was just so perfect. And I began to question God again and say, why? Like, why? I still don't know why. I still don't understand it. But I'm trusting and believing that God knows best, and He knows everything about us. He knows the path that's before us. So I'm just going to continue to trust Him. And so I chose to name him Anthony. And that's his father's middle name, but it also means priceless one. So Anthony is his middle name. And he was 2.3 ounces and 5.5 inches. It's the cutest little thing ever. And this is another memory box. I don't know if you can see it, but this is a little heart that they put there. And this is his little tiny, tiny, tiny footprints. He was just so perfect. I don't know. My kids were devastated. And that's the thing about it, is that it's not just that I'm sad for me, but I'm sad for my husband. He don't have any boys. He don't have a son of his own. Like, he don't have a son of his own. And this would have been a son, of his, something that comes from him. We have all girls together. And the only son that we did have, we lost at 2 years old. So, and it's like this loss just bring out all the same memories back from back then with my other son. So it was hard. So I took some pictures of him, just for memory's sake. I can't really look at them too much. It's just too painful right now. So I have them in the album on my phone, but it's like hidden. And I don't have to see it every time I scroll through my photos. But I also don't want to forget about him like he never existed or never was thought of. But it's just too painful just to keep seeing what you don't have. Something that you really wanted but you don't have. So my husband has been very good. Men deal with grief, pain, and loss differently. So, but he's been very good with making sure I have everything that I need, making sure I'm taking my meds, making sure I'm eating, making sure I'm drinking. He's been very, very good. I love that man to death, like to death. If I could give him 10 boys, I would. But I just thank God just for being in the land of the living, because this could have been turned very differently. I do suffer with high blood pressure. We don't know the cause of what caused the loss. We don't know. I was 16 weeks, so this was second trimester loss. I've never been through a second trimester loss. The first time ever. And everything was just perfect. So it kind of came out of nowhere. We don't know. The doctors can't even tell me why or what happened. So we just don't know. They just say sometimes these things happen, But, it could have been worse. I've heard a lot of stories. I've spoken to several women and heard a lot of stories about how, somebody told me a story about a young lady. They had 5 girls, and they had 5 boys, and she wanted to give her husband a girl, and badly, and she did get pregnant with the girl, but she died on the delivery table. The baby survived, but she died on the delivery table. And that could have been me, So I don't know what God was protecting me from, but I still thank him, because, like I said, it could have been worse. They could have been planning 2 funerals. So